Actually, it is interesting to explore what is modernity. There is a term that is used, either two camps. One to claim they are progressing, and the word itself has been established to say that there is somebody who is modern and somebody who is not modern. And clearly, this is a Western conception. This word, you know. Uh, and their whole journey of colonization, to civilize people and modernize people, progress people. So you see, all this in one sense has a linear trajectory and at the same time a hierarchical trajectory. It establishes hierarchy and linearity. So in order to critique this, it is important to understand these characteristics of that particular word, that it is to claim superiority, it is to establish hierarchy, and it is to establish that there is a linear progression that says that one step by step. So the peculiarity of modernity is that it is linear. That's the basic thing. And I think in order to explore this further, it is really important to look at two types of languages. One, language that has been produced by after literacy. Literacy has not only changed our cognitive framework or cognitive process system completely. Naturally, it has also changed the language that we use, the meanings that we connect. So this is really important. And the other thing is to look at how actually West created this whole idea based on their notion of secularism and science, which actually is in a way within the same framework of Christianity, Western Christianity, plus literacy. So to me, I think literacy is what is really to be deeply explored to understand this whole, what is known as modernity. Of course, now there are many more terms that has come about called modernity, then post-modernity, hyper-modernity, transhuman. So this whole, and each time they are claiming it's all progress. Each time they are claiming that these are, and actually, in my understanding, there is no difference in any of this because these are all construct of the mind. So in another way, if you look at the language of modernity, meaning literate people, and the language of non-literate people, a clear difference one will find between these. One in which it is non-experientially created, mentally created words, and the other one naturally it is truly in experience, and that language is in one sense very much connected with the human beings as part of nature. So many of the words that are absent and present is connected with whether that exists in nature or not. One really good, interesting word that one can look at is the word waste, for example. It seems that in the indigenous or oral languages, that word doesn't have that much importance, that much presence actually. It's also because in nature there is nothing called waste. And if you look at the indigenous communities, they don't look at anything as waste for that matter, because there is no waste in nature. And because they are nature-centric. Their beingness is established in nature. Naturally, they don't view anything as waste. So this is peculiarity of modernity, that we have separated ourselves from the beingness of nature. We have become anthropocentric. and naturally, you know, waste has been established. Waste. So that's a very interesting word to look at. There are many, many such words. You know, the words that modern people continuously use, like recycling, or again, it is related to waste being recycled. You know? Because in indigenous communities that happens so naturally, they don't even talk about it. It's given. Whereas in the context of modernity, it is an afterthought, discovered after creating lot of waste, and they don't know what to do with the waste. And then they started the story of recycling, and of course these modern activists have started using the word upcycling, as if, so all this is drama that the modern mind keeps creating, without really going into the deep crisis that modern humans are going through. And so actually, if you look at the beingness of modern humans, in this sense, they are mind oriented. Their body doesn't exist, and all these are created in the mind, in the head. They create more and more ideas. So they are living at an ideated level. Idea is their existence. So they produce more and more ideas for future, what they can do, what they can become, and there will be a method that is being created. So all this points to the fact that it is not existing in the mental level. And but in the context of tradition, what I mean by tradition is non-literate people, in their beingness, they are existing in reality, in presence, and with facts, with what is happening around, not with the ideas that they can, and so this is a very fundamental difference, which means that for literates, the mind and body is fragmented. Only mind exists. They create more and more ideas based on that. Whereas in the indigenous communities, they are integrated. Which actually also means is that only one part of our brain is getting used in that. Of course, there are certain controversies in this, that one group telling that there is no such two brains, another group claiming that there are two brains. But one thing is very clear, that there is a difference in behavior, whether they are using by one brain or two brains, that's immaterial. But the point is that there is a kind of activity which are mental, which can be very clearly seen. That the literate people tend to be extremely product oriented, mind oriented, knowledge oriented, certainty oriented, hierarchy oriented. So it's very clear, and their own beingness is that they are physically, because the body has to be present, but they are not aware of it. So they are in the mind all the time. So they are here, physically they are here, but their mind is elsewhere. So this is a very clear distinction that you can make between people who are trapped in modernity's way of being, which includes modernity, post-modernity, transhuman, all that kind of things, which are nothing but reactions of each. You react to modernity, so you create postmodernism, then you react mentally to that, you create something else, so that goes on. And it is also interesting that the one can probably look at the absence of the body in modern context and the rejection of the feminine in us. So how a certain kind of people way of being is what is existence in modern system, modern paradigm. So there is a pressure for everybody to function in a certain way, one could call it very masculine way, very rational way. Intuition, body, senses, all that is rejected. And so I feel that this whole rejection of feminine in that sense can be looked at as the integral being of a human being, whether it is man or woman, which is both feminine and masculine qualities in an integrated manner. And when we begin to use only one side, naturally our feminine quality gets finished. So modernity, even if they are so-called feminists, are fundamentally masculine in their beingness. They are reading books and so that's a kind of so what I have been feeling is that feminism is somewhat like a masculine response to establish a certain way of being, but it's a masculine way of doing it. And it's also a reaction to something. Whereas what I believe is that what needs to be done is to recover the feminine in both male and female, and to reintegrate the masculine and feminine together, which requires a completely different engagement, and not the kind of activism and competition that is being established to prove that we are also good,